Hey, 7th graders, Mr. Allard with another one of our flip lessons. Today we're going to be talking about Hippo, which is a strategy that we are going to use to read primary and secondary source documents, mostly primary source documents. It's really important that we can kind of wrap our minds around this strategy as early as possible, because once we get going in the content of this class, we're probably using Hippo almost every single class period. But without further ado, let's get going. Alright, so Hippo is an acronym, so that means each of the letters is going to stand for something that we will focus on when we're reading primary source documents. So the H stands for historical context. Now, a lot of times we are going to talk about that as just context, okay? So that's why it's underlined. And basically what this means is the time period of this document where it happens matters, okay? The past, the present, the future, it's all kind of combining to have our understanding. And one of the things I like to use is a document like this. If you just look at this document, you know, a bunch of kangaroos kind of in pouches, it doesn't make any sense. But if you put that in the time period of World War II, you know, Dr. Seuss, who created this document, is trying to say if we kind of lose our focus, we're kind of in the same idea of some of these people that we are considering evil. All right, without that context of what's going on, it's kind of hard to understand what this document really means. So the when and the where of that document is going to be very, very important to us to be able to understand what that document means. The intended audience. This is something that I use all the time with students to kind of get, and it doesn't happen as much as it used to, but just imagine yourself in class and somebody's passing like a note or something back and forth, and then the teacher grabs it. Why is the teacher grabbing that note? The students will be like, oh my goodness. It's because the teacher isn't that intended audience. The author of that note wrote that note probably with some language they would not have used if they knew a teacher was going to read it. All right, probably some information in there if they would not have put in there if they knew the teacher was going to read it. It was meant for a friend or somebody else in that classroom. So the intended audience of a document matters. Who we expect to read that document or see that document matters, right? We're going to write a document differently if we're writing just to our friends or to a diary or to a journal entry than we are if we expect people that we don't know to read it, or if we're trying to persuade people, or if we're trying to get people to kind of join our political party or whatever. The intended audience matters. Point of view. Okay, it's the main idea, and I like to use these two folks as a example of point of view: Jefferson and Hamilton. Okay, two of the kind of titans of American history and American political thought saw the same exact issue almost completely differently. All right, Jefferson wanted small government. Hamilton wanted a bigger, stronger national government. Jefferson wanted to focus on an economy based on farmers. Hamilton wanted an economy based on manufacturing and trading. Why are their views different? Because their point of views are different. Okay, Hamilton's upbringing, rising through industry and things like that, led to his point of view politically, socially, economically. Jefferson, being working or living and owning a slave plantation, led to his own point of view. They looked at the same issue completely different ways. So that point of view matters. What is the main idea? What is the point the author is trying to make? Okay? Because lots of times we're going to look at a topic from two different ways. Why is this author saying this versus this author saying this? Okay? Doesn't mean, you know, one is more true than the other. What it means is we may kind of lean towards one point of view based on our own, and that's okay. The purpose. Why was this document created? All right. These authors of these sources, right, a lot of them in that time period, handwritten, taking hours out of their day to focus this. They're doing it for a reason. They're not just saying, hey, what's up? What's going on? Nothing new. That's not what these conversations are look like. They're page after page after page after page of letters. They're thinking about every word that they're using. They're thinking about every detail of the picture that they're using. There is a method behind the madness, as we like to say. They're doing this for a reason. Why did they sit down to create this document? Why did they sit down to take the time to do this? Okay? They're thinking it through. There's a reason for what they're doing, and that is going to be the biggest thing, really, that we need to find in the document. Why was this document created? What was the source trying to do with this document? And then finally, outside information. Outside information is one of the toughest things for 7th graders because we've talked about this. A lot of folks don't know what they don't know, and we haven't had that lived experience specifically in history. But for some moments, there's going to be some moments where you read something and you're like, bam, that connects to this way. Okay? Outside information is how does the source or document link to information you already know. Specifically, something that is not specifically said in the document. For example, you may see a document that is written by George Washington. It might not say that he's president, but you could bring into your argument of why you think his argument is believable that he is the president. That's outside information. That's something not shared in the document. You could be looking at a document from Frederick Douglass and you'd be like, oh, right, I remember before he was a member of the abolitionist movement, he was a former slave. And that could lead to kind of him being a source about slavery being more trustworthy because he has that lived experience. Again, it might not specifically say that he was a slave in the document. So bringing that outside information, linking to people, to concepts, to ideas, to things that happened in these people's past is going to be important for understanding this information. All right, that's our flipped lesson on Hippo. Again, we're going to go through this, and this is going to be another tool on our tool belt, the language of social studies to be able to read and interpret primary and secondary source documents. If you have any questions, as always, hit me up on Schoology. Till next time, 7th graders, yell it out.